Hello, hello, everybody. We're live. I thank y'all for joining us today and for all the team that's joined here representing the Conscious Markets Group team. My name is Ifeanyi Jemie. I'm the CEO of Conscious Markets Group, and we've convened here today for our very first roundtable discussion, discussing the topic of higher purpose business and investing. Sort of a little bit about us. We came together as a team a few years ago. Our number one focus is, we're very driven. It's something that's near and dear to our heart around impact, bringing impact from the institutional asset classes all the way down to affect the community level. And we do this primarily through real estate investment, as well as raising funds for small business lending and investment. And then we also advise private and public sectors, kind of how we began. So today, we want to tell the story and discuss as a roundtable discussion, higher purpose business and investing from the perspective of our origin stories, how we got here today. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off now to our team. Let's start with you, Dr. Jeannice. We'd love to hear your origin story and what higher purpose meant for you in determining your path today. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. I think it's a phenomenal topic. It gives me energy. It brings my focus in. And more importantly, it's intentional. So my story, basically, I'm an economist, innovationalist, engineer, a social scientist, and someone who has a heart passion for humanity. I believe that we can develop technologies such as green tech and housing projects and smart cities in which we can really connect with the community through community action networking. They can actually contribute to what we're doing. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to be here. I have 20 plus years, professor emeritus, and working in the tech space, and now having full circle coming back to community and economic development. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to the discussion today.
Excellent. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Jeannice. And there's a lot more to your background that I think is really fascinating and has inspired me as well, as far as higher purpose that we can touch on later. We'd like to pass the baton now over to Timothy Morgan, who's our marketing advisor. Go ahead.
Hey, friends. Good to get to know you and connect with you. This project and other projects that are going to be coming as a result of us teaming up together is so powerful. For years, I was involved in the nonprofit space, also dabbled in small business, buying, selling, building small businesses in Northern California, and found that it was just difficult to do both at the same time. So I zeroed in on the marketing piece to be able to help causes and companies doing good in the world, much like what we're talking about today. A lot of mission-driven, purpose-driven organizations. And so it's a privilege to be able to partner in the real estate world and the community development world in a way that's going to be lasting. These are legacy projects. These are projects that are going to impact families for decades and decades and decades to come. And so I'm excited just to be here and have this roundtable discussion. This is so amazing.
Yes, and we're very happy to have you and excited. And so now I want to pass to, last but not least, Mr. Paul Saint-Pierre, the Saint. Muted.
Hello, everybody. It's great to have you join us today and allow us to bring you into our home and tell you about our shared values, our mission, and the principles and the code of ethics that we all live by here. You know, I have always been doing this. I've been working for 43 years. I started working after graduate school in Berkeley in 1980. So never a long vacation, never step out of work. So I've been breaking the rocks for 43 years. And over that time, I've been very blessed to develop and cultivate and just experience a lot of different venues, whether it deals with investors or fund managers or companies or affordable housing, et cetera, et cetera. In 1980, when I finished graduate school, I really wore 2 helmets for the first 20 years of my career, all the way to 2000. I lived in San Francisco, follow on from Berkeley, and one helmet was all about working with low-income communities up and down California. I was deeply involved with community redevelopment agencies in terms of lifting up, involved with tax-exempt financing to raise billions of dollars to enable lower-income and middle-income people buy single-family homes all up and down California communities. I saw all of California then. I also worked a lot on tax increment financing, which is a special tool for redevelopment agencies to redevelop communities and bring communities back into the new age, the new development, new age of economies. So a lot of that was affordable housing all up and down the state. So everybody crying and saying we have an affordable housing crisis. We have always had an affordable housing crisis. There's nothing new to it. I've seen it. It never goes away. And I've seen layers and layers of tools being added to address that problem. My other helmet between 1980 to 2000 was to provide investment strategy and consulting advisory strategies to major pension funds, CalPERS, CalSTRS, Stanford University Endowment, AT&T, Texas Endowment, major institutional investors that were beginning to add real estate to their pension fund portfolios. And so I had a seat at the table to devise those strategies, to propose a lot of ideas, to research the merits of those strategies, and to help pension funds screen real estate advisors, real estate, their funds, their team, their humanity, their credentials, and plug together the expertise with the pension funds to start investing reasonably on a reasonable basis into real estate investment strategies across the country and around the world. Between 2000 and 2018, I had the pleasure of expanding my career into the space of registered investment advisory world through many different things. For those of you not familiar with it, the registered investment is an investment fiduciary, and the sole fiduciary responsibilities to investors. And so I live that credo that everything I do, we got to do it right. And our first and foremost customer, our fiduciary duties to the investors. And so I live that to this day. The investor comes before my interests stay out of it. And that's how we're going to play ball here at CMG. Everything we're going to do is do it right for the investors and make sure that these are the qualified investments for investors, and make sure that the investors are delivered a risk-adjusted return, both qualitatively and quantitatively, in terms of the payout of benefits to our investors. So that's the world I lived in for 2000 to 2018. I don't have enough time. I've done investment banking, et cetera. Don't have enough time to do it. So the Opportunity Zone program comes along in 2018. It was made for me by bringing together my real estate investment strategy expertise, my cultivated expertise in private equity, my funds management expertise, and providing a wealth of advice for investors. This space is made for me. I breathe it, I live it. In the Opportunity Zone, it's just a subset of private markets. But I live for this, and to add the social impact, which I was doing back in 2000 to 2000. I'm sorry, 2080 to 2000, all the affordable housing thing. This thing just checks all the boxes for a lot of experience that I bring to a great team here. So thank you for listening to me.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you all for your introductions, and y'all can see why we're so excited for this team. Everyone on this call right now is a partner. We'll also give a shout out to some of our partners who are not able to be on the call right now. Mr. Curtis Spears, who is really our head of investor relations. met him in investment banking, and I'll touch on that in a bit. But his background is 30 years plus in financial services, asset management, as well as investment banking on the institutional side, as well as high net worth. Has done a lot in real estate financial transactions as well. And then, of course, also missing Ms. Hala Farid, who is our affordable housing advisor, who has 30 years of experience in affordable housing, public and private sector, as well as leading Citigroup's Office of Inclusive Housing for many years. So, you know, I would mention a shout out for our Chief Innovation Officer at Conscious Markets LLC, who is 20 years tenured at IBM, Mr. Howard Anglin, and who I was my initial partner in launching the company. And so I really want to jump back to the beginning because really what we have here represented is it's so incredible. And I want to touch a little bit on the longer form story, and then hopefully y'all can go more longer into your backgrounds as well. You know, what drove me to start Conscious Markets Group, you know, was really a transition out from the private sector, finding how I can integrate my spirit, my faith, my heart into what my mind was focused on day in and day out, and making it an aligned and fully unified experience. So we're going to talk more about this over multiple weeks on how to go about bringing this forth, manifesting your heart into your passion, into your work, and allowing sort of the dynamic magnetism of your universe to sort of bring people together. It's something that I'm thankful that I've been able to do. And it really started off, you know, back in when I graduated University of Southern California. While I was there, I was, you know, a CFO of a media entertainment company that I was able to get a nice startup exit from. We brought them into 7 figures revenue. I was also working throughout college. You know, I was always somebody who had to pay my way through. And so I was working in the financial services sector as early as my sophomore year. First had CMG Financial Group as a compliance surveillance analyst. So I was first in compliance and during the spring and fall seasons, and then moved on to more investment analysis until I began working at Citigroup on Wall Street, where I also began to work once I graduated. And I worked primarily on the Citigroup investment strategies team. So we structured very complex to very basic investment strategies for institutional clients, for some of our private bank as well clients. And these were some of the most sophisticated, systematic, as well as custom built strategies and indices. So one of the passionate projects of myself there was working on one of Citigroup's first ESG indices. Did really well, and we had products that were being utilized by quant funds, hedge funds, and fund of funds, and all different type of allocators. And was recruited over to the buy side into Los Angeles Capital Management, which was a $20 billion asset manager based in California. And, you know, I had some good experience. So I was working while at Citigroup with both quants and the sales side. And so kind of continued to develop the quantitative side as a portfolio management associate. I was then afterwards moved into more of the alternative space by advising a private bank, kind of leveraging more of my interpersonal skills and developing that private bank, First Republic Bank, and working on their private banking and investment management platform, which is called Altair, focused on primarily alternative investments, real estate, oil and gas, energy, creating sidecar investments for our clients and helping fund managers raise capital. During that time, I was doing quite a bit of emerging technology advisory and nonprofit side as well outside of my work. And I was recruited by one of my former Citigroup mentors, as I was very involved in DEI there, and we had a strong network. And even from my early days there, and was recruited by one of my mentors, a brother named Phil Woods, who launched a digital asset emerging technology company and helped them raise a few $1 million, advised all the way through to an exit that I obtained, and was recruited by an emerging technology focused team within a boutique investment bank called Jeannice Associates, where I joined as the director of investment banking and led some international deals focusing on commercialization and capitalization of middle to early lower middle market companies, as well as advising asset managers for capital and allocation. And so this was really where I was started to do a bit of my international work, was advising some nonprofits as part of a chamber of associates, really focused on developing markets, For example, we advised the African Union Diaspora Investment Forum. We advised the Central Bank of Nigeria around emerging technology for the financial sector, which they then were the first African economy to adopt a digital cryptocurrency for their national currency called the e-Naira. And so we were very much on the ground floor also in places like the UAE, advising sovereign funds as well as family offices, and as well as helping with portfolio transitions and acquisitions. So during that time, I really found that I wanted to make full-time my focus on impact on economic development and deals that could really impact lives. And so from that work, I was partnered with Mr. Howard Anglin. We both had a passion for this. We were both on the same advisory board for the nonprofits, him on the tech side, me in finance. And we really decided we want to bring these two together because we see how the power of technology to leapfrog underserved demographics in these developing countries, let alone if we can bring this same approach back to the US where there's better socioeconomic and political structure. And so that's what we did. I've always had real estate in the family business. And so it was always a desire for us to pursue community development certifications, among many others. But we wanted to start as a community development company. And this would be developing both physical and digital spaces. And so we were first advising groups like the city of Berkeley, the office of then city council member, now I think Vice Mayor Benjamin Bartlett, our brother who passed over 100 progressive policies, innovative policies in Berkeley, California. We advised their office around healthcare innovation, partnering with the private sector through social impact bonds, through technology trials that could build key performance indicators for more equitable outcome and preventative care, and create better data sharing between the public and private sectors to achieve these goals of equality. And so we helped advise from an ethics perspective and from a technology and financial perspective. And, they were able to pass 2 legislations around that in the last year around their health innovation zone now, as well as their social impact bonds, which are sort of a pay for success for healthcare innovation. So at the same time, we've also advised groups and fund managers, such as a couple that we're engaged right now on impact strategies, social return on investment, generating scores based on the qualitative and quantitative factors together to create a double bottom line investment strategy, both for your acquisitions as well as your investor reporting. And so this is important for all asset managers, but increasingly important across the world as there's a stronger demand for transparency into ESG and impact investing. So we're going to create the bridge. That's what our firm was positioned to do, to create that bridge between the institutional and large asset classes into the impact investing sector. And we're doing that through what we see work in developing nations, technology, as well as through investing in people. Those are our 2 pillars, investing in people and technology. And so when you're doing that, you're always going to have to function through the mind and as well as the body of the spirit, because you're going to need to think about how can I take care of people? How can I have a positive impact on both employees, partners, investors, as well as the community? And how do I measure that? So that's what conscious investing really means for us. And so we launched the team. Howard introduced Dr. Jeannice over to me. Early on, we were looking at community development, and we knew, something she didn't mention. We learned very quickly that she had been on the board of the Alfred Street Baptist Church Financial Board for a very long time, managing $20-30 million budget that's heavily real estate driven. We also knew that we had Mr. Paul. We met through work we were doing with the Opportunity Zone accelerator programs and advisory, and we learned that he was, had some incredibly great, innovative new ways to fund, nonprofits as well as faith-based, companies in the space and to bring people together. And so we leveraged this experience as well as with our existing advisory from Ms. Hala Fareed, who has 30 years in affordable housing experience, to really create the model that we're working on today, which is the Revival Opportunity Fund. So that's really what we're going to be sharing more about in the coming weeks on our website, social media. The CMG Revival Opportunity Fund, the Opportunity Zone Fund, as well as the partnerships with faith-based developers and churches right now that we have already lined up to begin to build what we call cities of refuge and cities of deluge. And this is really important, this phrase that I just gave, because this came to me, really, let me just take a step back. In 2020, this is an important key part of my origin story, right? Because when you think origin story, you have to think also, what's the struggle? What was the challenge, right? What have we gone through? Just think about any good origin story in Hollywood or in life has to have a struggle. And so when I think about my origin story and my struggle, it was really the pandemic. In 2020, when that hit, I had a spinal injury from a workout injury around the same time period. And it really taught me something, because as I withdrew within myself into prayer, into my spirit, into connecting with God and my higher purpose more, that's when all of these ideas and innovations started really flowing. I entered into what I call the flow state, what many call. And that's where I've been ever since. And the results have been incredible. And so it's very interesting, because at that time, I learned that both the good things and the bad things that happen to you can form your higher purpose. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have left traditional real estate, traditional investment banking, and moved into the impact community development space full time, like was really in my desire. And so from that time, I began doing a lot of spiritual journaling, still staying very healthy, exercising, and I began to connect with the spirit, where ideas would flow from my higher being, from my God Almighty. And that was when I heard the phrase to build cities of refuge and cities of deluge, and just everything that has rolled out since then, because real estate wasn't our number one priority, but it has been ever since, has been around that. And everything that has happened has been very much a testament to the universal tailwind behind pursuing your higher purpose. And so we can disclose a lot more of that soon, but we have already basically $6 million of equity committed into the projects that we're working on. We have and more on the way, so this will be counting as you watch this video. We have a number of great projects, including a pipeline in the tens that we can continue to work on as we get funding, and working with local groups on the floor that have a lot of experience in these areas. And also, we saw already we're getting projects designed to help create refuge. For example, our first project is veteran supportive housing. So our own refugees, and then also actual refugees, because we have another project that's situated on the border of Tijuana and San Diego, in San Diego County Opportunity Zone, that is also going to be working to build workforce housing. And so we're touching on both, these categories. And I had to really look up what is the meaning of a city of deluge when I received that word. And the meaning of that is really two things. Building housing, for one, climate changes, and number two, socioeconomic and social political changes. And that's very important, because ever since that I received this word, middle of 2022, that has become very, very apparent from the climate perspective. Southern California had its first hurricane in like 50 years. And, who would have thought that you would have a prophecy or a word about rain in Southern California? So these things that we're seeing, that, every project we have going right now is green built. Both are green built. One has already received funding from HUD for that, and the other is solar. So we're excited, and we're going to touch on every single area in more detail as more of these calls come along. But that's my long form, and would love to hear more. Dr. Jeannice, if you could tell us a little bit about, for example, Alfred Street, and Timothy, about some of your work in your 30 years in both ministry and in industry. Thank you.
Well, I am working in the marketplace. I am ordained myself, and it gives me an opportunity to bring full circle my skill set. Also a Cal Bear alum, so go Bears, and doing postdoc work at Stanford. So in my academic studies, it was incredible, because I worked on various projects in grad school that were out in the community with immigrant farmers and individuals that were marginalized. And I began to wonder, as an economist and soon to be civil engineer and working in that space, how could we actually build and create and take action, if you will, in such a way that it would have an impact, especially in the state of California and around the United States, because I actually began to see these pockets. It's as though there were showcased highlights of various communities, cities of deluge and refuge around the United States that really needed attention. So, with that said, coming on board and meeting Howard, and then soon there meeting Ifeanyi, it's been a great pleasure for us to ideate and brainstorm about how we can actually make a full impact. So I brought in a lot of my community development influence to say, let's go out into the community. Let's build, what would make us an MVP? What would set us apart? How can we be that unicorn in this space? And indeed we are. So being that unicorn, we can say in all earnestness that we can build community that would actually have a economic circular engagement where based upon the economy, you could build out and engage the community, but then what happens to that information? We have found a way that they could actually contribute to the design, to the actual development, to the sustainability, which is very much what Ifeanyi was speaking of as far as the political, the social, and bringing in the environmental. So to make it sustainable, and what Tim said about legacy. So we're looking at how that could actually happen. And then Paul, of course, Paul is bringing in this wealth of knowledge and saying, we're going to have impact in such a way that everybody is going to be happy. He's leaning very heavily on the investors. And then on the other side of the camp, we're saying, we're taking care of the people also. You can make sure that everyone is going to be engaged as far as our partners, the community themselves, again, looking at that circular economy, and then, of course, our investors. So I just bring in whatever I possibly can as VP of operations, working within the organization to actually build out our systems and structure, and then also working externally on how we can actually be that unicorn in our space. So that's just a little bit. I know you want me to go deeper, but it will be on for further broadcasts. But one really cool project that I did work on in conjunction with the migrant farmers, that was amazing. So within a county incorporated area, I actually went out with a team to identify what their needs were. So again, looking at a circular economy, how can they contribute to the development and design? What were their needs? Key concept here. As opposed to developers coming in and saying, well, let's just put up housing. This is how it's going to work. But through the funding that we're getting and have for green tech and looking at potential opportunities with our partners, we actually can take that to the next level of engagement. So the development is intentional. It's an opportunity that investors can say, I feel my heartstring. I could go with this. I could be a part of this project. I see good in this project. So it's just something that I just wanted to share. But I also worked on the HUD project, whereby many, many years ago, they were saying, you may recall this, that they said, well, everyone should have a house. If you have a car, you should own a home. So the outcome of that was many homeowners actually went underwater because there was very poor engagement based upon mortgage companies and that sort of thing. But what is happening now is that truly everyone can own a home if they are tapped into the right system, into the system that we're developing with this intentional build, whereby the engagement of the community is there. We have key investors that are sold out and sold into opting into that investment and that key purpose. So I just wanted to share a little bit, and hopefully future broadcasts I can tell a bit more. You wanted me to talk about some of my work. on the financial board and some of the affordable housing. But I think we'll save some of that for another time. I think I might have to get approval to dive in deeper to that. Thank you.
Yeah, and absolutely. Thank you for that, because you touched on, a little bit of our community approach, and we don't want to go into detail today, but I think that the idea that we're partnering with landowners who are faith-based and community-based organizations is the number one way we're ensuring generational wealth, that they're participating in the actual management of the property, on the equity cap table, as well as in our community advisory establishment around each project in each area, to give us advice on capacity building and a survey approach that we take to really score what are the social impact areas currently, today, in the past, and in the future that we need to focus on. And so that's how we do everything, combining with the tax equity, the capacity building related grants and incentives, and then also on the philanthropic side, helping these organizations over time raise capital as part of the potential buyout of the property. That's going to be another key feature that we roll out as we roll out our philanthropic platform. So basically, we're doing something that I don't think has really been seen in this holistic way from a group that's as diverse as ours, and so I'm excited. Please, Tim, what are your thoughts on everything?
Well, what's really drawing me to the projects that we're involved with is the way that we can pull multiple levers at the same time and create something very unique. And so what you just kind of just briefly described is what we're going to be diving into more, as you alluded to, but those levers make the machine very, very unique. Paul's a big part of that. There's a few others that have kind of added some other pieces to it as well. But the point is that this is not your typical real estate play. This is not your typical, if you have a piece of property, or if you've looked at investing in real estate in any way, we want to talk to you. We want to have a conversation, see if you're a good fit for what has been put together. That's 100+ years of experience in the real estate and the innovative finance space. And we're going to rock it in a way that you probably never seen before. So super excited to talk with you. For those who want to learn more, go to consciousmarketsgroup.com/opportunity fund. And that'll get you kind of in the pipeline of conversation. You'll have access to these future broadcasts. You can even click around on the website at consciousmarketsgroup.com. Just see what's going on with our updated projects and broadcasts and information that would kind of inform you more in a traditional manner. But we wanted to get to know you today. We wanted to connect with you. We wanted to share our story, and those who would want to maybe throw some comments in as you're seeing this broadcast, we'd love to hear more from you on what questions you might have, and then we can follow up with you and circle back with you and make sure that those questions are answered as well. So yeah, grab your spot, because we want to make sure that you're able to view the next broadcast coming up, and we'll make sure you got the information you need. So yeah, I'm
throwing a plug here. We have an article that talks about higher purpose investing. So please do take the opportunity to read. Ifeanyi, where is that located? Could you give some insight?
Yes, that will be posted on our News and Insights page. When you go to the homepage of the website, you'll see that on our menu, News and Insights. We post in our blog there. We may also launch a Substack so that people can subscribe. This first article is really on looking at impact investing, and then we're going to go into even more deeper topics that touch the hearts of the people and the minds of the people. So yeah, just thankful to everybody here. Thankful to God. For our next, webinar, we're going to have Rise Up Residential on, which is one of our developer partners, particularly in the San Diego area. In a future webinar, we're going to have our other developer partner, Logos Faith Development, work with us, and they've been working with churches for the last 10 years to help them develop, affordable and workforce housing. And we're very excited about all the partnerships, the land involved, the groups involved, and just these people on this call and who couldn't make it involved, because without them, none of this would be possible. My family has a background in real estate, but I haven't spent 20 years in real estate capital markets. Having somebody like that, having people who can also support with expertise on the community side and the marketing side, and myself with the impact investing side of things, we have really everybody that we need to really be the hand of higher purpose. So that's what we're excited to do and talk about over the next couple of weeks and hear from y'all and other people's perspectives. And we'll sign off for today. So any other thoughts, team?
Go CMG. Let's go. Let's go.
All right.
I'm just so honored to be a part of this. And I said that to the team the other day. I just think that there has never, in my 20 plus years experience, I have never been with a comprehensive, active, engaged, sold out to the vision team such as this. We cover every aspect of this opportunity to bring affordable, impacting opportunities and projects to the community. So I'm just honored and blessed to be here today and to be a part of Conscientious Market Group. Thank you.
I think you're muted, Paul.
I just want to share that, over my years of living, the family is the central unit, but the next central core unit is community. It's always community. I was thinking this morning that I didn't even have computers when I started my professional career. Computers didn't exist. Smartphones didn't exist. But the sense of community has lasted for thousands of years in our human being culture. COVID taught us what happens in the absence of community. And when you go to all in on technology and you forget about community, or you just go to the technology community. We have the chance to retwine community again, to lift up communities, and to make communities much, much stronger based on the sweat and love and the effort of people in the community. So that's my learning lesson: is community has perseverance, and it's the cornerstone to everything that we're doing in our economy and our lives, as well as family. So I just want to leave that thought behind.
Thank you. Beautifully said, all. All right. So we'll see y'all on the next webinar, November 29th. Talk to you soon.